All right, exciting news in the revolution front. So what I told you guys now a couple of weeks ago was, hey, we're gonna try to do something where we get our country back, get our government back, get our democracy back. And what that means is fight against the corruption of money in politics and have folks serve us. So not foreign governments like Israel, Qatar, or anyone else, and not corporations like big oil, big pharma, etc. So well, one of the first things that people were skeptical, but I've got big news for you now. So we asked people to chip in on a couple of different ideas we had and come up with new ideas, and I have amazing developments on that too. But one of the things we're working on is Ro Khanna's bill in the House, and so that is to lower drug prices. Now, I say Ro Khanna's bill because he introduced it, but in fact, it has more Republican co-sponsors than Democratic co-sponsors. And why is that? Because Ro did something really smart and interesting. What he did was he introduced Donald Trump's executive order on lowering drug prices as a bill, word for word. So if you're a Republican, there's no reason why you would object, right? And if you're a Democrat, that's actually Democratic policy. Great, wonderful, country's united. So out of 435 members of Congress, there's only 5 that have signed on as co-sponsors. The other 430 is like, yeah, we didn't really mean it. Or they don't know about it. And so what we said was, well, why don't we go tell them about it and see once you tell them, will they actually join on? And once we started telling them, we found out through some Congress people that they really didn't know about it. And then when they see it, they're like, oh, that's pretty good. We have a number of congressmen who are right now, because you guys reached out to them, saying, I'm gonna think about it, okay? All right, that's good progress, we're getting somewhere, at least we got their attention. And then all of a sudden today, we have a new co-sponsor. But first, let me show you the current co-sponsors. So on the Democratic side, you got Ro Khanna and you got Marcy Kaptur, 2 good progressives. And on the Republican side, Anna Paulina Luna, Andy Biggs, and Elijah Crane. So those are some serious right-wingers, okay? But look at that, that's beautiful, that's America, okay? That's right wing, left wing getting together. Now, I'd like to add one more person. On which side? On which side? The Republican side. The new person co-sponsoring that same bill is Marjorie Taylor Greene. What in the world is going on? Is this country getting united? Is that what's going on? Do we have a left-right coalition? But this time, for the first time, for the American people. I've seen tons of left-right coalitions in Congress for the corrupt, for the oil companies, the defense contractors, everyone robbing us blind. Oh, they'll get your coalition behind that, 98% of them back it every time. And then mainstream media will come in and go, oh, what great bipartisanship. Atta boy, Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema and John Cornyn and John Thune for making yet another corrupt deal that takes Americans' money, hard-earned money, and sends it to a foreign government or to a giant corporation that doesn't need it at all, but has bribed all of you. I mean, they did a debate and they're wonderful, honest politicians. Well, so that's all a load of BS, as you all know. But now, for the first time, that people have woken up and see the corruption. Some legislators have been liberated, and they're now acting on behalf of, I know this is strange and crazy, but in a democracy, they're acting on behalf of their voters. So why do we have some of the most progressive and some of the most conservative lawmakers backing the same bill here? Because it lowers drug prices for everyone. It doesn't lower it just for Republicans, it doesn't lower it just for Democrats, it lowers it for everyone. So who wouldn't want that? Every real American would want that. And by the way, oh, it's not magic, you can't do that. No, you can do that. It's what it is saying, hey, we're gonna pay the same amount as the average of other developed nations. The drug companies already make a killing in those countries. So it's not like they can't make a profit at that number, they can. They're just choosing to overcharge us massively. And why are they doing that? Because our politicians let them. But now for the first time, we got at least 6 people here in Congress going, I don't think I'm gonna let them anymore. No, I'm not interested in you ripping off Americans and making us pay so much more than every other country. Why do we have to pay so much more than the Germans, than the Canadians, than the French? Why do we have to get robbed so that you can make trillions more? It's not like the pharmaceutical companies aren't spectacularly wealthy. They are. So everybody's getting caught. Everybody's getting caught. So now Marjorie Taylor Greene, by the way, is that because of us? Yeah, definitely. So we reached out, one of you suggested it, and you could go back on an old show. Somebody wrote in and said, hey, Cenk, why don't you reach out to Marjorie Taylor Greene? We did, and she said, hold on, I gotta look into it. She looked into it, and she's like, yeah, where's the question? Lower drug prices, is Trump's executive order word for word? Where's the question? By the way, so now look, you see, now we're making progress. Now we're on the board, okay? So hundreds of you have already written, and let's make it thousands, okay? And just go wild. Don't not wild as in being angry or anything. No, we're always polite. We're a peaceful, nonviolent revolution. But as former Congresswoman Marie Newman explained on this show yesterday, she gave us a little tutorial on how to affect Congress people, because she was a congressperson, right? Make sure you're checking that out. She said, yeah, they're your representatives. You're supposed to reach out to them. They're supposed to listen to you. And if you go into their office, they will, but you gotta be polite. And because all we're doing is we're asking them they're supposed to be representatives. We're asking you to represent us and not the drug company. So why don't the others? As Marie Newman explained, because money, it's not complicated. They take tons, both Republicans and Democrats take tons and tons and tons of money from drug companies. But hey, look at what just happened with AIPAC. They just got caught, and what happened was, all of a sudden, Seth Moulton, one of the most conservative Democrats, gave AIPAC's money back. He said, I'm not taking any more, and here's your money back. Why? Because in mass, definitely not just us, we're a tiny piece of it, but in mass, the internet, the online world, their own voters said, no. You're gonna have to choose between, in that case, donors for Israel or your voters, but you can't have both. The days of you having both are over. So you're gonna have to make a choice, your donors or your voters. And even Seth Moulton said, all right, no mas, my voters. That is a spectacular development. In fact, one of you guys wrote in about that. I want to read that to you real quick. And I want to read you one of the things that somebody wrote in about unity. Liz Smith is a YouTube member, and she wrote in, I'm taking credit for Seth Moulton, LOL. I emailed him about the Ro Khanna bill, the one I just told you about. They say they're looking at it for whatever that's worth. But guess what, Liz? It might be worth a lot. Because number one, reaching out to the members of Congress is working. Number two, affecting Seth Moulton through voters is also working. So go get them, go get them. They're your representatives. You have every right to ask for, to insist upon, and to demand action. And again, Marie talked about this last night. There's nothing wrong with being insistent. Don't be rude, don't be impolite, don't be physical, obviously, right? But outside of that, no, we're very polite, but we're not leaving. We're gonna really need you to lower drug prices. And I don't mean like you do a sit-in or anything. Yes, we talk kidding around, but not really kidding around. You could do this. Go to their district office, whoever your congressman is, do some research, find your district office, and we'll help you coordinate, by the way. And I'll talk about that in a second. And go start having lunch at their office and say, look, I'm just not gonna leave until you agree to sign on to this bill. If you're a Republican, it's Trump's executive order. And it's lowering drug prices, where's the question? If you're a Democrat, you told me this was your policy for decade after decade after decade. Where's the question? Introduced by a Democratic representative. Where's the question? Okay? No, I'm gonna stay here until you say yes. Oh, but you're violent, but I'm not violent. You're a terrorist, but I'm not. You're this, you're that, you're anti-Semite, but I'm not. I'm not any of those things. I'm just your voter, and I'm politely insisting, and I will continue to insist that you be my representative and not anyone else's. Congrats to Marjorie Taylor Greene for doing the right thing. And now guys, they say, oh, you're only gonna have unity about Israel or something else, right? Now all of a sudden we got unity on drug prices. What are you gonna do now? When real, not fake unity that we've had throughout our lives, when real unity starts to break out among the citizens, that's when the establishment's gonna panic. And I love the smell of establishment panic in the morning. All right, so now more good news. Speaking of the battle being joined, on Monday, Keith Knight shows up. Who is he? He's managing editor of the Libertarian Institute. And he said, oh, you guys are fighting corruption. Count me in, let's go. It's go time. So, the establishment might be in a wee bit of trouble. I mean, this is just the kernel, just the beginning. But all of a sudden, what is that I see? Is that blue I see? Is that a little bit of hope I see? Okay, that's it. Reference to an old school poem that I wrote. Oh, don't ask. Okay, so then now this is all about the people, right? So what I did yesterday was I took tweets that you guys sent to Tim Burchett, Representative Tim Burchett. He's a Republican. He was on Tucker Carlson's show. He's a kind of a populist. We hope he's a populist. So he's a good person to ask. We asked Mark Buchanan on the left. He's a good progressive populist, etc. And then, but we asked. So I retweeted your guys' tweets. And do it on any social media you got. You're getting any kind of traction, send it into us. First, let me tell you about the coordination, then I'll tell you what you guys voted on. So if you want to discuss these ideas and you want to see the other ideas that have been put on the board, go to tyt.com/ideas. That's the discussion board for this, tyt.com/ideas. If you want to coordinate, hey, and I'll give you an example in a second. But I got to coordinate with our community director who's in charge of this Operation Hope project, that's Cara Eastman. Then email her at hope@tyt.com, hope@tyt.com. So what are they coordinating on? First of all, we talked about the kids of Gaza. That's something else that we all agree on. Hey, we got to stop killing these kids with American tax dollars. It's crazy, it's nuts. So I said, imagine if we did a site where you got the kids' pictures and their little bio, and then you see if they're dead or alive. Well, now there's a new twist on it. There's a kid in Gaza. We're going to talk about it in future episodes more. He's an American. The Israelis have kidnapped him, and they won't return him, and they won't tell us where he is. He's an American citizen. Nah, this is too much. And we could put him on Kids of Gaza. And if anybody, by the way, there are American kids. There are a bunch of American kids were killed in the West Bank. Again, our government asked for no accountability at all. I mean, total dogs. Don't tell me they're not dogs of Israel when Israeli settlers and the IDF kill American citizens and we don't even ask for justice. That's crazy. That Israeli government official who went and tried to rape an American girl in Vegas and we got him a get out of jail free card and a ticket back to Israel? Nah, no. Look, my twist on America first is Americans first. What happened to us? You start representing us, right? So, but we live by our creed. So the two developments there. Number one, we care about what you guys think. So we had a bunch of website names. We bought a bunch of URLs to start a new site, which you guys suggested. Well, I started talking about it, but then you guys built on the idea and said, wait, what if we take not just on Israel, but on all these donors that you keep talking about, and start doing a site, not like Open Secrets. Open Secrets is amazing, by the way. So that shows you some of the donors and that are public, etc. But what if we connected for each representative or senator, all their donors, and then their voting record, and see if it matches up? Spoiler alert, it definitely will. I'm curious about what the percentage is going to be. If we get this thing built, it'll be spectacular. And at the end, we'll tabulate, maybe use AI. What do we got there? Oh, it turns out it matches 98%. Okay, so we'll see. Anyway, so a bunch of people are working on that. If you're one of those folks, you got to coordinate with Cara, so hope@tyt.com. But we asked you guys to pick a URL. You vote on it. We're not deciding, you're deciding. And it was a tight contest. We had it in the live chat. We had it on tyt.com. Boughtbills.com, corruptionwatch.us, trackcongress.com, trackdonors.com, and trackcorruption.us. Well, which one won? Drum roll, corruptionwatch.us. So that site that has all of the donors and all the votes that we're beginning to build will be at the URL corruptionwatch.us. You guys picked that, so we're going with what you want on that. By the way, so we're now out to more Congress people. And I want you to be out to more. I want it to be uncontrollable. This is decentralized. Since we're peaceful and nonviolent and we love democracy and we love the Constitution and we love America, they got nothing to complain about. All we're doing is insisting our most basic right as Americans, okay? So go and insist politely to all these representatives. No reason why you shouldn't sign on to it. And by the way, it's HR 3493. And you can always refer back to tyt.com/hope if you forget that, obviously. And we have some verbiage there too you could use your own words. But HR 3493, Global Fairness in Drug Prices Act. And that's what we want. We want global fairness. Why do we have to pay so much more than the French do or the Japanese do. It's not fair. Okay, so we've also reached out to Representative Jayapal, former head of the Progressive Caucus, see how that goes. And now, one of the ways that we're gonna help, and then I'll get to more comments, suggestions, ideas, etc., is, and I wanna read you one more comment from our members from the show. But first, what I promised, the Operation Hope Working Group, which this began from, a dedicated core group of TYT viewers and members who were wonderful enough to be volunteering this whole time, trying to build this behind the scenes. They started organizing people by state. So Henry, one of the great folks on there, created chat rooms on discussion board for each state. So if you want to get involved with the people in your state, check out the discussion board, then click on state organizing. So that's now this is a different URL. I know we got 2 different discussion boards, but it makes sense. This is for the states and some other discussions. And then we have tyt.com/ideas for the ideas one. But anyway, this one to organize the states is at discuss@tyt.com. Discuss@tyt.com, okay? So now, okay, Don Data Dragon wrote in during the show, but it applies perfectly here about unity, because we were talking about unity in the context of another story, and he wrote in, coming from a guy who didn't cut off my Republican friends for being Republican, no, I can say with certainty, Cenk is right. My buddy who voted for Trump literally said, every time he talks, I lose my sanity. My friend's biggest issue is the Israel funding, by the way. He's very mad about how much they've gotten versus South Carolina's hurricane cleanup effort. You just can't get more legitimate than that. That is right. Look, it's a heavily Republican area, but it doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. They're Americans. They should be our top priority. Why is our top priority giving $35 billion to oil companies? Why is our top priority giving $21 billion to Israel in the middle of a genocide? Why is our top priority making sure we are not allowed to negotiate drug prices so collectively we pay billions, maybe even trillions more? No, those aren't our priorities. Those are the priorities of corrupt politicians. So that's why it's corruptionwatch.us. Anyway, so look, that's those sites we're building, kidsofgaza.com. If you're working on that, again, reach out to Kara at hopetyt.com. Okay, guys, I can't begin to tell you how excited I am. So I know it's just the beginnings, and maybe it goes nowhere, maybe it dissipates, right? But I'm sensing in the zeitgeist in a massive way. You know how I get these spidey senses? I'll say I'll brag for a second, but it's not really bragging because it's you guys, right? And here, let me explain. So in 2013, I did a video saying that I think Bernie Sanders could beat Hillary Clinton in 2016. That's when he was polling at 1%, okay? Now, why did I sense that? Not because I divine it out of the blue, I have some magical abilities. No, I'm reading what you guys are writing. I'm watching what you guys are saying. And there was a groundswell for Bernie that nobody else was seeing, but we're paying attention to because we're connected to you guys. But it's not just for Democrats. I said in October of 2015, 3-4 months before they started voting, Donald Trump's gonna win the Republican nomination. Again, oh, you're crazy, etc. Now, why did I know that? So again, it's not divining it. I'm watching Republicans saying they love Donald Trump all over, online, everywhere else, right? But the people on TV are like, oh no, I do the clown. He's a clown, obviously he can't win. So it's all just a theater until we get to beloved Marco Rubio or wonderful Jeb Bush, right? Well, they were all wrong and we were right. And so what I'm seeing now is unity for the first time in my life. It's begun. The libertarians are coming on Monday. Marjorie Taylor Greene came today. It's going to keep on going and going and going. It might not be us, it might be somebody else, but somebody's going to organize this thing. God, I love you guys. All right, more suggestions, so let's do these. Teddy Lucy Linda said, Cenk, you should reach out to US Representative Pat Ryan. He's totally in alignment with us. That's another good suggestion. Pat Ryan's a bit of a populist. There's some things that some issues I don't agree with him on. Guess what? Some issues I don't agree with literally every member of Congress. Who cares? That's not the point of this project. So great suggestion, wonderful. Let's definitely try that. Oh, by the way, guys, the point of tyt.com/ideas is to not just discuss the ideas that are already on the board, but create new ones. So for example, there's another one, there's 2 more that we've been united on all along. which is, one is Epstein files. So if you have a genius idea on how to make these sons of guns actually give us the Epstein files, the real Epstein files, I'm all ears. We're all ears. Because all the Republican voters want it, all the Democratic voters want it. Only people who don't want it are weirdly the pro-Israel folks. Telling on yourself, okay? Those are literally them and the establishment are the only people who don't want the Epstein files released. That is that's like 1% of the country, maybe 2%. The rest of us want the Epstein files and we want to know who actually did it. So if you have a genius idea on how to make them reveal, I mean, look, the one thing you can do, so Mike Johnson still won't seat the woman who won in Arizona, Grijalva. And why is he not seating her? It's wildly illegal not to seat her. She won the election, where's the question? He's like, yeah, but I know if we seat her, they're gonna have enough votes for you guys to see the Epstein files, and I don't want you to see them because I'm guilty and all the elites are guilty. That's what Mike Johnson's telling you. So I told Democrats for 20 years, don't believe Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, and the rest. Nancy Pelosi literally took over $1 billion in campaign donations from corporate donors, foreign governments, etc. Not foreign governments directly, but people who are in favor of foreign government. And so did Mitch McConnell. If you think Mitch McConnell's corrupt, I got bad news for you. Nancy Pelosi took almost the same exact money, right? And then doles it out to other Democrats. And Joe Biden got caught, Andrew Cuomo got caught, now Cory Booker's caught. And on the Republican side, if you think they're not all taking money and serving Israel and oil companies and defense contractors, you got another thought coming to you, brother. But good news, by the way, they don't think that. Mitch McConnell got caught. Now his own side hates Mitch McConnell. Why? Because he was the heart of corruption. So go get him, guys. All right, Sagacious Dragon, I'm reading these blind, says, when you call your congressional representative, be polite and respectful, but tell them you're angry if you are. Remember that you're talking to a staffer who's simply conveying your concerns up to the hierarchy. The congressional switchboard telephone is 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121. Call it early and often. And guys, you can say to the person that you're talking to, hey, listen, I appreciate you taking my call. I appreciate you caring about me. I want to convey to you that I'm angry about this issue because it affects me personally, it bothers me, but I'm not angry at you, okay? And please pass this message on. I want the representative to know that his voters are frustrated, okay? So that makes sense. Velvet X Ears writes in, I sent a message to my representative Joe Morrell about the drug price bill, and he responded, but did not address whether he would look at the bill. He just spouted off talking points about all the things he's fighting for. How should we respond when they don't address and our specific concern and just deflect? Okay, what I would say is write back and go, hey, I really appreciate you responding, but what I was asking about was this particular bill, and since you're so good at responding, I'd love it if you responded to that specific question because it affects me so much. So I'm your voter and I'd love to keep voting for you, but you really got to deliver on this. And it's what I'm asking is a fair ask. Which way are you going to on this bill? So the fact that he responded to you is great because again, you could compliment him on the response and ask for another one. Insistent, okay? Black Cat Dragon, I've been calling Don Bacon daily all week. He lords his bipartisan work, so time for him to show up. Yep, show up, otherwise you're gonna get caught. We're gonna know you're not bipartisan. We're gonna know you're not for the voters, you're for the donors. This one is crystal clear, that's why we picked this one to start with. You're either on the side of the voters or you're on the side of the big pharma, period. Mott said, I encourage Jimmy Panetta to sponsor it. Nani Dragon says, is there a script I need to read off when I call? Hey, Cara, who's our community director and watching, remind me where they can go and get there's an email that you can send, but I got to send you the right URL. I know there's a lot of URLs out there. Wang John wrote in, Corpo Dems should start panicking now because taking even 1 cent from AIPAC is going to be an immediate disqualifier in the next election. Tara Rose writes in, should we get the obvious congressman on the board too? Where's the squad these days? Oh, absolutely. Michael Napin, one of our viewers here, did a tweet about AOC. I didn't ask him to do that. He did it on his own, and he attached one of AOC's videos talking about how important it is to get lower drug prices and better healthcare for Americans. And so I retweeted him. And so, guys, you know what? It's easier to follow my account. It's just my name. God, good luck spelling it, @Cenk-Uygur, right? Forget all the other tweets, but when you see me retweeting one of you guys, make sure that you go and retweet it and share it and like it, etc. Not necessarily my tweet, the original member or viewer tweet, okay? And make sure, so when they see it, if AOC or Tim Burchett sees it and it's got like 15 likes, hey, by the way, if you were doing it on your own, it might be 2 or 3, but hey, 15 is a start. But if they see it's 150 likes or 1,500 likes, or wait a minute, 15,000 likes, it's gonna get their attention more, right? So way to work together, guys. Okay, so for the language on what you could say about the bill, tyt.com/drug prices. tyt.com/drug prices has basically the script. You could put it in any language that you want, but at least it gives you a starter there. And it's calling the rep on the phone. Sorry, that's what it shows you how to do. So it actually, in a sense, is exactly the question you were asking. And you could find that at tyt.com/drug prices. All right. Tara Rose writes in again, Cenk, high question. What's going to stop insurance companies from pocketing all the savings when we get cheaper drug prices? Us. So if we are powerful enough to stop big pharma, that means we have become a force to be reckoned with. And the national spotlight has now turned to, these politicians, we see you now under the bright lights. So we just made you stop backing big pharma for no reason, well, for your campaign donations. If you just turn around and try to give it to the health insurance companies because they're also donating to you, it ain't gonna work out for you. Aren't you? Look, I'm curious. Are you guys curious? How's this gonna work out? Does it have a prayer? Imagine we get up to 10 co-sponsors, 20, and okay, here's a fun betting game, okay? You don't have to actually bet money, but you can do whatever you like, okay? I'm not your uncle, I'm not your dad, you do, everything is option. But at what point, how many co-sponsors will it take for mainstream media to cover it? Because like this is a kind of an amazing development where people online all ask their representatives on both sides to support the same bill, and it begins to work. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not a small name in American politics, and we just did it, she's on board, right? If we get to 10, that would be kind of spectacular, to double the number of co-sponsors and to do it from the outside, the actual voters demanding it. You would think that would be a huge story. They're not gonna cover it, no way. Don't bet, the over under is not 10, okay? So will they cover it at 20 co-sponsors? Nah, I'd be super surprised. I'll put the over under on when mainstream media begins to notice at 80 co-sponsors. I mean, that would be preposterous to go from 5 to 80 in a bipartisan way from outside Congress. That would be one of the most spectacular news stories of all time. I don't know about of all time, but a giant one, right? They won't cover it until they're absolutely, positively forced to, embarrassed to. There's no way, because they love corruption. Mainstream media is the getaway driver in this great American robbery where the politicians rob us on behalf of their donors. So when they start covering it, and then they'll try to smear us. Bunch of voters, boo. You guys don't even have money. You don't have a lot of money, boo. You can't even buy ads on our net. Yeah, by the way, why do they cover up for the corruption? Because all the money in politics goes to the mainstream media, or used to, and certainly the great majority does. All right, look at all these wonderful beauty. Now on Twitch, Itchy Brother Dragon. By the way, I reached out to my congressperson, Ilhan Omar, and I'm gonna go visit her office in person. Perfect. Okay, there's no reason why Ilhan Omar shouldn't join in. All right. Last one here, and then I'm going to give you guys one last thing, last two here, and then give you one thing for if you're going to No Kings protest, okay? So on YouTube member Boxy Brown 6900 wrote in, do other countries have lobbying groups inside the US? Why is AIPAC so powerful? Yeah, other countries do. They influence politicians in a lot of different ways. There used to be this guy named Stephen Solars who was a US representative, and he was friend of India. That meant he went to a bunch of Indian Americans and said, give me your money and I'll be the one guy who says, yeah, hey, maybe we should care about India too, right? And he was also a friend of Turkey. And so we'd go to Turkish American events and they'd give him money, and Stephen Solars would go, hey, you know what? Maybe the genocide, Armenian genocide wasn't so bad. Wait a minute, that's my group. That's anti-Turkish, trope. No, everybody's doing it, right? Just, is there folks here who have substantially more money that are pro-Israel? Yes, there are. That's just reality. All right, last one. Jen Stenson says, can't thank you all enough. Please keep it up. When we come together, we all win. Hashtag United We Stand. You got that right, Jen. All right, so for those of you going to No Kings, I'm asking you to do 2 things. Well, 3 in a sense. One's easy, peaceful, non-violent. If you see someone, anyone being violent, like get a circle around them, clear out, get them out, get them out. Go, turn them in. Don't let them ruin this movement with any violence at all, okay? So that's a no-brainer, that's easy. Number 2, bring American flags. We love America. We love our fellow Americans. We love the Constitution. We love the idea of America. We're trying to make it better. Is there anything more American than a protest against the government? No, it's like almost the most American thing you can do. More than baseball or apple pie. Okay, mom and protesting equal, okay? I'll let you know what, mom, you win, okay? But then protesting, it's as American as it gets. So now the third request, everything's always optional. When you get a chance, maybe when a speaker mentions Gaza or something along those lines, let me hear it loud and proud. Free, free Palestine. Let them hear you in Washington. Let them hear you in Tel Aviv. Let them hear you in Gaza. Man, they need to hear you in Gaza. Imagine millions of Americans across the country, different places at different times, chants of free, free Palestine, free, free Palestine. Look, 92% of Democratic voters are against Israel's actions in Gaza. No King's protest obviously going to be the Democratic side, right? Hey, if you're a Republican, you want to join, God bless your heart, right? But if you're among that 92%, let them hear you in Jerusalem. But again, most importantly, let them hear you in Washington, D.C., where they're supposed to represent us and not anyone else. Free, free Palestine. I love you guys, let's keep going. So on Monday, we're gonna have somebody from the Libertarian Institute join the battle with us. And we'll see if we can get any more congressmen before we come upon next week. So now we're done with this segment for today. Members, stay right here because I'm going to do a bonus episode for you guys, personal story as we do at the end of each of these, because the members sustain us. We can't do any of this without the Young Turks members, and we appreciate you guys. If you want to see that bonus episode, hit the join button below or tyt.com/join, optional. All right, see you there. And I'm here. Okay, look at that. Okay, you guys got to get used to it. We're doing this thing without the transition and without the slate. So all you members, if you're already on the member stream, super easy, right? So hopefully I don't lose too many of you guys. Okay, this is I had a story planned on a day of great frustration that happened to me once because something triggered it for me and I was going to tell you, but then all of a sudden today I got optimistic. So I don't know if do I have an optimistic story? Of course. Okay, I'll tell you this one. It's halfway self-aggrandizing, but so I don't think I've ever told it on air before. So bear with me. But it's not supposed to be about me. It's supposed to be about hope. I wanted to get into a good school. I'm a good immigrant boy back in the day, and my parents taught me you got to go to as good a school as you can, work hard, get into Harvard, etc. So now I didn't work as hard as I should have. I acknowledge that, and so Harvard wasn't going to happen. I was not the valedictorian or anything, but I had good grades and I was a good athlete, and so fighter's chance on a good school. And the school I wanted to go to most was Penn. I wanted to get into Wharton. I also knew I couldn't get into Wharton. My grades weren't good enough. That's the top business school. It has undergrad department, but I thought, wait, I looked into it. Can I go to Penn and then transfer into Wharton? They're like, yeah, you could. What would I need to transfer into Wharton? 3.5 average at Penn. And I was like, okay, Penn sounds pretty good. And so I wanted to get in there badly. I tried and tried and tried, but the problem was I had this 2 disastrous grades on my report card. They're so embarrassing, I don't want to tell you, okay? I'm gonna be like Donald Trump, I'm gonna hide it forever. And if you try to find it, I'm gonna arrest you. Okay, anyways, and so the Penn counselor comes to our school. I just went to a public school in New Jersey. It was a good public school back in the day when we had good public schools. My kids go to good public school here, but back then it was great. It was a great public school. Anyways, she comes and I ask her, look, here's the situation. I've got good grades otherwise, we've got blah, 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 but I got these 2 killer grades, right? And she's like, you should really look elsewhere. Not possible. I was like, did you just say not possible? So even as a little kid, I mean, I was 17 at the time, I'm like, let's try to make it possible. So it wasn't easy. And first, I worked my ass off on improving my current grades, doing all that I could, joined the Key Club. I'm like, just in case they like activities, super cheesy. And I'm sure they didn't care. Okay, but I'm trying. I got waitlisted. Oh my God, I got waitlisted. I was like, yes. So then when I got waitlisted, so if I told people, hey, I'm gonna go to war, and they looked at my grades, they would have said, it's a 0% chance, brother. But there's always a chance, okay? So then I get waitlisted and I go, okay, I'm gonna go nuts. I go to Model Congress, I win an award there. And the only one that got a bill passed in the New Jersey Model Congress that year. You know what the bill was? Defunding Israel. I'm not kidding, that was back in 1988, okay? And the only school that voted against me was my own school. So my school was about half Jewish, so they're like, no. But the rest of because it's not that the other schools were against Jewish people at all. I just made a compelling case for why are we funding these guys? They're occupying these poor people. And that was, Jesus, what, 37 years ago. And they're still occupying them, okay? So got an award there, we went to Model Congress, told this story before. My nemesis that we talked about on Old School happened to be representing South Africa, and they had moved from my hometown and he was from Laguna Beach. We were representing Botswana, the main opponent of South Africa. And we got South Africa kicked out of the UN, in the Model UN, got another award for that. Every time I get it, I'm sending it into Penn. Then I won Scholar Athlete of the county, and I sent that into Penn. And by then they're like, all right, come on, you're in. I'm like, yes. Okay, then I go to my uncle, and my uncle's a funny cat. My uncle saved all of our lives. He's the one that got us off the farm in Turkey, figured out you can get an education, taught my dad to become a mechanical engineer, etc. I love him, right? Voted for Trump. Okay, it's all right. Hey, listen, we all have loved ones that we disagree with on some political issues. Doesn't mean I love him any less. It saved all of our lives. But he's a eccentric feller. He says to me, Penn, don't go. I'm like, what do you mean? I worked my ass off to get in. Why shouldn't I go? And he's like, oh, they're going to eat you up. You can't compete with them. They're going to come on, Jen, get real. Go to school you could do okay, and you're going to get slaughtered there. Come to find out, I didn't get slaughtered, and yes, I was able to get enough of a GPA to get transferred into Wharton. And next thing you know, what was totally not possible. Getting into Penn was not possible, let alone Wharton. All of a sudden became possible. Now, is that a story about how, oh yeah, I rock? No, guys, there's always a way. There's always a way. So you just have to figure out the right road, and you got to work super hard to do the steps on that road to get to where you want to go, okay? So I hope you weren't too bothered by the obnoxiousness of that story and etc. Good school, blah, blah, blah. But remember, I had the disastrous grades. That's why it was so hard to begin with, at least on 2 classes. Anyways, all right, can we do it again? You know what, I'm gonna tell you other optimistic stories on other bonus episodes, because there's a lot of things. You know what, if I forget, make sure you remind me sometime next week. I'll tell you the story of how when I founded the Turkish American Student Association at Penn, I said, all right, we're gonna get the Turkish Prime Minister to come visit Penn. And I heard, not possible. You wanna know how that one ended? Okay, next time. All right, much love. Have an awesome weekend, guys. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.